Hello guys, welcome back to Charlotte's Foliage. Thank you guys if you're returning, and welcome if this is your first time here. We talk about plant content and we share ideas about plants and plant problems and ways that we can improve our plant health. So without further ado, I want to talk to you guys today about the A through H plant terms, just anything that's related to plant content, and then I'll describe what that means, okay? So again, let's get started. So what I thought about for A, the letter A in plant content would be airflow. Airflow is very important. For example, if you're using a humidifier, you always need to have a fan going because you'll have mold build up if you don't. So always use a use airflow by way of a ceiling fan, or for example, let me see, where did I do with it? Right here, I have a little portable fan. This fan has a clamp on it. I keep it in my greenhouse so that even though it's getting humidity in there, those plants still need airflow, okay? So they can prevent mold from building up on the top of the plant, okay? So airflow is one. And another thing that you can get airflow from is, let's see, the soil medium that you're using. I'm turning around because I've forgotten where I put everything. So there's airflow when you use leca, or when you use pumice, or when you use perlite. Air gets through the plant, and airflow is important because it helps for the plant after it's been watered that is able to dry out. So you do need airflow. Every plant needs some time to be able to dry out somewhat. Some plants don't want to be dried out completely, okay? So airflow. And this particular plant that I'm sharing, the reason why you see this yellowing here is because this is a prayer plant, and a prayer plant requires distilled water. However, I didn't have any distilled water, and this is a result of not using the distilled water, but I have some now, so she should be okay. I cut her back a little bit. So now we've established airflow, and let's go on to aerial root. You're probably thinking, aerial root, what are you talking about? Well, I'll show you a plant that has an aerial root, and the good thing about this type of plant is it's able to get air quality from the aerial root, because these roots are above the soil and they're on the plant. So I'll show you what an aerial root is. This is my Burl Marx philodendron, and it has its own aerial roots. So if you ever see roots like this, don't cut them off. I'm gonna see if I can point to one of them. This here, that is an aerial root, okay? So it's that little brown woody stem-like thing. And they get air. They provide air to the plant. Here's a better view of it right there. Those are aerial roots, okay? Here's another one here. They just sit above the soil, okay? So let's go on to B. What is another term related to plants? B. And so I thought of begonias. I'll show you a begonia. This is my begonia here. I'm not familiar with the name of it. It might be a Rex begonia, but sometime I forget. I also have another one here. This is my, I believe it's escargot begonia. So B for begonia. All right. Another thing If you have a peace lily, you see the little flowering thing that comes up. It's a little stem that comes up. That's called a brock or break. May not be pronouncing it correctly, but that is B for brock in the peace lily. Bear paw. I'll show you that. This is a bear paw plant. It's kind of like from the succulent family. It's real fuzzy on the leaves. And this plant, how you can tell that it needs to be watered is it's not as puffy and fat as it should be. And so once you water it, it'll puff back up, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's a B for bear paw. All right. On to the C's. This is really important. When winter comes, a lot of times your plants need to be moved back away from a window. And the reason for that is cold drafts. Some plants do not like cold drafts, especially your thinner leaf plants. You might be able to get away with it with a succulent type plant, or any plant that holds their water in their stems, like, let me see if I can think of one. This bear claw would be one. A lot of your Hoyas, a lot of your succulents, your ZZs, they don't need to be right up to the window, but they would actually last better during cooler drafts than any other plant, okay? So, color for C would be another one. And let me show you what I mean when I say color. This plant here, sorry, my camera is really on my ring, is not behaving correctly. But see the brown on the leaves, and then color also could do with the fact that this is a variegated plant. I let this plant dry out. So this is an example of that, but she's still growing. There's some new growth down there. I'm trying to show you guys, but it's kind of hard to see. I'm holding my ring light up. For some reason, it won't stay up, okay? So color, C for color, all right? Let's go on to the next one. D. D, the most important thing you could think of would be drainage. So you always want to make sure that your plants have the proper drainage, and you get that by the holes in the bottom of the pot. Now, there has been some controversy about having a plant that must have drainage holes. I found out through Charlene and Alice that that's not necessarily true. Long as you have perlite and long as you have leca or pumice at the bottom of that vessel, and then you water that plant, that water will wick up to the soil part of the plant, and so you don't need a holes in the bottom of the vessel. So that a particular begonia that I showed you, it did not have air holes. It was in a glass vase. So yeah, drainage is a good one for plant content. Dryness is another one. You want to make sure that some plants allow you to let them dry out, whereas others do not, okay? Another thing is deadheading. Like if you see plants that have stems that have leaves that have turned colors and they've died off, that's normal, especially your lower older leaves. You want to pull those leaves off, okay? Let's go on to E, environment. A lot of times we hear people saying, so-and-so, they plant is doing so good where they live, and where I live, my plant is dying. Well, your environment has a lot to do with it. That person's house may have way more humidity, and they may not even be using a humidifier. Whereas if you put that same plant in your home and give it some humidity, then it probably will turn around and start doing better. So it's very important to kind of weigh all those factors in. So environment. Another thing would be Espoma. Espoma is a brand
that has fertilizers, soils, and I would highly recommend them. This video is not sponsored, but Espoma, just keep that in mind. That's Espoma. That is a brand that carries excellent soil. That's the only brand that I use as far as my soil. I like to use organic soil. So let's go on to F. F would be fertilizer. Okay. So here's some fertilizers that I use. This is fish emulsion. Every plant needs NPK. That's nitrogen, potassium, and what's the other one? Nitrogen, potassium, and I'll think of the other one here in a moment. But that's what they get with the fertilizer, okay? So yeah, and then this is my fertilizer for my orchids. So fertilizer for F. My Ring camera is moving again, you guys. I'm sorry. Okay. Apparently I need a new one. Maybe I'll just take my phone off of the ring light. Give me just a second. And let's go on to fungus. Fungus is just like what it says. Some plants get fungus on it, and you may have to get some neem oil or some type of fungicide to rectify the fungus that gets on your plant, okay? So F for fungus. All right, let's go on to G. G could be greenhouse. I have a greenhouse because some plants require way more humidity, so I'll let you take a look at my greenhouse. That's my greenhouse cabinet. I have plants in there, and right now the doors are open because I'm giving her airflow, okay? So that's my greenhouse. G for green thumb. Green thumb is you. When you get those plants and you learn how to take care of them and you start getting really experienced. Green for plants. Plants have photosynthesis, and it's good to keep their leaves clean so that you can see that beautiful green foliage, okay? And H is for humidifier. There's my humidifier. It's not on right now, but I tell you it will be on before the day is up. Humidifier. Heat. Too much heat in the home could, or heat from a vent could be too much on your plant, so you want to watch out for that, okay? H for heat. And I believe that's the last one. So those are the A through H plant terms, and we want to make sure that we know how to take care of our plants, and this helps as a good reminder. I want to thank you guys for watching. I do have a unboxing coming, you guys. I got a bunch of plants coming from, they're imported from Indonesia. They have a nursery in Florida, so it is Equiflora, Equigenera. I use them all the time. And so I'm excited about some new plants that I have coming. Also, keep in mind, fall is coming and winter. And so your plant care is going to change. Winter, you don't water plants as much. And then in the fall, as long as that plant is still growing, you can continue to fertilize that plant. So thanks you guys again for watching. I hope you'll continue to watch, and I hope you tell your friends about me. I currently have 74 subscribers, and I'd like to get to 1,000 before the year is up. And so please tell your friends about me. Bye.